There's a moment in one of Ben Napier's interviews where he admits that there were days in college when, if he didn't make it to the cafeteria in time for the free lunch, he simply didn't eat that day. No backup, no plan B, just a very big man running on very little. That's not the Ben Napier most people know. Most people know the guy on HGTV, the 6'6" gentle giant who builds custom furniture by hand and brings old Mississippi houses back from the dead. The one with the easy laugh and the kind eyes who makes you feel like everything in small-town America is going to be all right. But before any of that, before the cameras, before the woodshop, before Laurel became America's favorite small town, there was a broke kid from Collins, Mississippi who watched his family lose everything more than once. A minister who gave up the pulpit, a politician who ran and lost, a man with no obvious future in a town most people had already stopped caring about. This is the story that didn't make it into the renovation reveals. When Ben was a teenager, the family relocated to Western North Carolina, where he finished high school before heading back to Mississippi for college. He enrolled at Jones County Junior College in Ellisville, the same school where, a few years later, a girl named Erin would be assigned to photograph him for the yearbook. But that's getting ahead of things. Those early college years were lean. Ben has been candid enough to describe just how thin the margin was. Cafeteria lunches that weren't guaranteed, a financial reality that left very little room for error. He eventually transferred to the University of Mississippi, where he graduated in 2007 with a degree in history, not design, not construction, history. The man who would later become one of the most recognizable woodworkers on American television studied the past. After graduation, he followed the path he'd been raised on and became a youth minister at Laurel First United Methodist Church. He was living in the same small town he'd eventually make famous, doing work that made sense given who his parents were, and trying to figure out where the rest of his life was supposed to go. He stepped away from the ministry role in 2014, the same year things would start to change in ways nobody saw coming. Here's something that rarely comes up in the HGTV profile pieces. Around the time he turned 30, Ben Napier ran for city council in Laurel. He ran as an independent, which he joked should have been called Independence Day, though he admitted afterward the pun may have gone over most voters' heads. His platform wasn't complicated. Laurel had been bleeding businesses for years. Downtown was hollowing out. Storefronts were sitting empty. Ben wanted to change that. He thought he could help bring investment back in, make the case for a town that still had its bones, even if everything above them was struggling. He lost the race. But the reason that matters isn't the loss itself. It's what didn't change afterward. He still wanted the same thing. He just no longer had a political seat to pursue it from. A lot of people in that position give up on the goal entirely. Ben just started looking for another way to get there. The mission never changed. Only the method did. And within a few years, he would do more for downtown Laurel than any city council seat could have accomplished. Erin Napier was running a stationery company called Lucky Lux, and Ben was doing woodworking on the side. They were living in Laurel, renovating their own house, and occasionally posting about it online. Erin used a hashtag #ILiveInLaurel on photos of her letterpress designs and Ben's custom furniture pieces. It wasn't a content strategy, it was just two people being proud of where they lived. In 2014, an HGTV producer found those posts. The couple filmed a pilot. On January 24, 2016, Hometown premiered. What happened after that was slow at first, then not slow at all. The show found its audience because it was genuinely different. It wasn't flipping houses for profit. It wasn't staging rooms with furniture that would be gone the second the camera crew left. Ben and Erin were renovating homes in the town they actually lived in, for neighbors they actually knew, on streets they walked every day. Viewers could feel the difference, and they didn't change the channel. By season 4, the show was pulling 20 episodes a season. Spin-offs followed: Hometown Takeover, Hometown Kickstart, Hometown Ben's Workshop. The couple who'd been posting under a small-town hashtag were now one of HGTV's most bankable brands. But what most people watching at home didn't fully realize was how much of this was already in motion long before the cameras arrived. While Hometown was airing, Ben and Erin weren't just filming renovations, they were building businesses in the same downtown Laurel that Ben had once tried to revive through a city council campaign. In 2016, they helped restore and reopen Laurel Mercantile Co., a historic general store that had originally opened in 1901 and had long since fallen quiet. In 2018, Ben launched Scotsman Co., his woodworking and lifestyle brand, out of a shop right in town. He also served as president of Laurel's Main Street America chapter, pushing for the kind of downtown revival he'd been after for years. The thing he couldn't get done with a political campaign, he was now getting done with a TV show, a woodshop, and a mercantile. Ben and Erin also co-wrote a New York Times best-selling memoir called Make Something Good Today, their actual story, not the TV version of it. Between the show, the businesses, the book, and the brands, the two of them had built something that most people spend entire careers chasing. And they'd done it in a zip code most of the country couldn't find on a map. By his mid-30s, Ben Napier was carrying a lot of weight, and not just the emotional kind. He comes from a family of big men, and he's been honest about what that means medically. His grandfather had heart surgery. His father, Wayne, had an emergency triple bypass procedure in 2014, less than a month before his 60th birthday. That same year, Ben's other grandfather died from a stroke, 3 heart events in one family, all in the same 12 months. Ben watched all of it. He knew what the pattern looked like. And for a while, knowing wasn't enough to make him change anything. The moment that finally broke through came during an interview. His shirt wouldn't stay buttoned. It sounds like a small thing, but Ben has described it as the moment he couldn't ignore what he'd been trying not to see. His doctor had already told him his blood pressure was high enough to require medication. He didn't want to go on medication. He wanted to fix the actual problem. So he built a gym in his backyard and started working on it. He changed what he ate, he got up early to play basketball. And then in March 2023, before he'd quite hit his goal, he went in for shoulder surgery, a torn rotator cuff that had been building up from years of physical work. After the procedure, he spent 8 or 9 months unable to lift anything. The weight kept coming off, but now it was mostly muscle. He said it was the first time in his life he felt genuinely too thin. By the time he appeared on the Tamron Hall show in 2025, Ben confirmed he had lost 95 pounds over 3 years. He'd also gained about 20 of those back, deliberately in muscle, once he was cleared to train again. The suits from his heavier days still hang in a closet somewhere. Erin told him not to get rid of them until she was sure he wouldn't need them. As of late 2024, he says they're still too big. A transformation that dramatic was always going to invite speculation. When Ben's appearance started changing noticeably on screen, the Ozempic conversation came for him the same way it's come for dozens of public figures over the last few years. He never directly confirmed or denied using it. What he has said repeatedly in multiple interviews is that his approach was lifestyle-based. Yoga, intermittent fasting, ice baths, playing basketball in the early morning, eating smaller portions, and leaning on Erin's habits to keep himself in check. His father, Wayne, went on record saying he was proud of what Ben had accomplished and relieved, given their family's history with heart disease. Whatever the full picture is, the results are documented, and the motivation, wanting to be alive and present for his daughters, has never changed. The Ozempic rumors weren't the only thing circulating online. In July 2025, AI-generated clickbait articles started claiming Ben and Erin were splitting up. Erin addressed it directly on Instagram stories, calling the articles fake and asking fans to stop bringing up the divorce in front of their kids, who were too young to understand why strangers kept asking about it. She also spent much of 2024 shutting down repeated pregnancy rumors, eventually telling followers plainly that she was medically not able to have more children, and asking quite firmly that people give it a rest. The irony is that Ben and Erin Napier are one of the more genuinely stable couples in the reality TV space. They've been together since December 2004, when Erin was assigned to photograph Ben for the college yearbook and went on their first date the very next day. They were married in 2008. Their daughters, Helen and May, were born in 2018 and 2021. By December 2024, they had been together for more of Erin's life than they'd been apart, a milestone she said meant more to her than almost any other. In January 2025, Variety reported that Ben and Erin had signed a new deal with HGTV that runs through 2027. Hometown entered its 10th season in January 2026. They are at this point the last major couple standing from the generation of renovation shows that built HGTV's modern identity, a year that saw the network cancel Bargain Block, Farmhouse Fixer, Christina on the Coast, and several others. When asked how their show was still on while so many others weren't, Ben gave a pretty honest answer. He said he genuinely didn't know. It was probably because people kept watching it. Not everything is smooth sailing from here. By July 2025, Erin shared that doctors were recommending ankle replacement surgery for Ben, due to arthritis from an old basketball injury he'd been managing for years. There's also the matter of Hometown, In This Together, a new spin-off about a boutique hotel renovation project in downtown Laurel that Ben and Erin took on for close friends. During production, the building caught fire. They've opened up about how devastating that was to watch, and the show will document what happened and what comes next. There's also the Canadian season of Hometown Takeover, which Ben and Aaron have confirmed they legally cannot host. Canadian broadcast law requires Canadian resident talent in the hosting role, so they'll appear as guest stars while a new couple takes the lead. It's a strange, administrative kind of exit from a show they built from the ground up, but it says something about them that they found the whole situation more funny than frustrating. What Ben Napier has built, from those lean college days to a failing city council run to an Instagram hashtag to a genuine small-town empire, isn't really a TV story. It's a story about someone who kept pointing at the same thing for 20 years and just kept finding new ways to reach it. The medium changed, the goal never did. He wanted to bring Laurel back, and by most measures he actually did it.